Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Game Wisdom Live. This is going to be the week of March 9th, 2017. So, we got a bit of excitement this week going on in terms of audience and what's been happening. So, first off, we are closing in on 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. It's getting ever closer, and when we hit 1,500, I have an idea for another Let's Play vote as I started doing the Bastion one. The other big news is that this Saturday, that will be March 11th, I will be at my local library giving a presentation on the arcade industry. So, as I've been saying this week, the nervousness hasn't kicked in yet, but I'm assuming like sometime late Friday evening, I'll all of a sudden get the urge to like crawl into a fetal position going, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. But we'll see what happens there. We have a few things to run by the folks of you watching this live or recorded regarding game wisdom and some ideas going forward. But first, please welcome back to the podcast my co-host, James Ellerby.
Hey guys.
Hey James, it's great to have you back on. I know we've both been having some crazy times these last few weeks.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, life's kind of been throwing me in the blender, so I've been trying to bounce back from it, and it's looking pretty good. Things are looking a lot better, so.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I'm hoping things will be improving around here, especially with the increase on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
as well. I'm just making sure that we are in fact streaming this. There we go. Twitch was just showing me the wrong information. I just want to make sure that this is actually going live, or we'll be in trouble. Yeah. So while I'm double checking that, yeah. Oh, come on, Twitch. There we go. So, yeah, I know it's been quite a crazy bit of time. I'm hoping that with this presentation goes well, I can sort of leverage this for more presentations and use it as a way of supplementing the income. With the Patreon, we did get one donation for the month of February, so I'm looking to have him on for a guest critical thought sometime in March. We had like a 40-minute long Skype conversation talking all manner of stuff, so we'll see what happens there. But the word is definitely getting out there, so I guess here's hoping that 2017 will be good for both of us.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
So before we get going with topics and such for tonight, I won't run by a few things with you folks watching, whether live or recorded. So the first thing was I came with an idea for another Patreon reward, and we'll get your thoughts on this as well, James. The idea is to have another goal, like let's say this will be like a middle tier one where it'll basically be a group critical thought. So anyone who donates will put together like maybe like 3, 4 people, and we'll talk about one topic for who knows, like 30 minutes to an hour, and that
Mm-hmm.
will basically be like a critical thought for like the day or something along those lines. So essentially, be like a roundtable discussion combined with one of our critical thoughts.
Oh, it sounds pretty cool. I kind of like it.
hmm And this will kind of be a way of selling people into, hopefully, at some point, getting the a developer roundtable discussion at some point back on.
Mm-hmm.
That was, again, this was before you joined on, James. So we used to have like 3 or 4 developers on to talk about a variety of topics.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome to do again too. So.
And it was a lot of fun, but it was also a massive pain to plan in terms of
Mm-hmm.
logistics and multiple time zones and continents. Thank you, El
Yeah.
Gore, the critical roundtable. El Gore is good. He's naming all this stuff for us.
Uh-huh. Hey, El Gordo, you wanna come? Maybe you can work for us sometime. Use an extra pair of hands.
And he was my when you weren't available last week. He took over as relief co-host last week for the
Oh,
roundtable.
hey, I said you can help. I didn't say take my job. Come on.
You gotta be careful, James. The people are sniping your
Oh
position.
my gosh! All right. I gotta defend my spot as co-host.
And for those of you who did miss last week's podcast, the Discord server is now set up. So if you'd like to come on and say hi or ask a question or whatever, I can certainly add that to the. We'll put that in the Twitch stream and we can hook you up there. But yeah, the roundtable idea, if you guys would like that, I can certainly add that on as a Patreon reward. Um, Chances are it's going to be higher than the guest critical thought, but again, I'm not. This is not going to be like a $30, $40 goal or $30 to $40 reward. The other idea that I want to run by you guys Oh, El Gore says you can always bribe him with pasta. That's good.
I make a mean pasta a mean tuna casserole with pasta. So that's pretty good, if I do say so myself.
Cool. The other idea that I want to run by you guys is now I just lost my train of thought there. Talking about pasta, just knocked it out.
Pasta will make you lose your train of thought. It's delicious.
Oh, here you go. The other thing I want to run by you guys is, as you know, we've been looking for a way of sprucing up the YouTube channel with better thumbnails, maybe better intro, outro videos, and stuff like that. And I wanted to put the word out there if anyone would like to contribute, like either just come with like a stock thumbnail that I can put on that I can add words to, stuff like that, or an intro outro video. I would really appreciate it. You will certainly get credit for it. But it's been something that's been on the back burner for some time. And unfortunately, I know my art skills just aren't up to the task on that front. So if you would like to help in any ways, feel free to get in touch with me. Again, my email is josh@game-wisdom.com, and we can talk more about that. The other thing I wanted to throw out, you guys, is as you know, we've been doing the Nier Automata Let's Play, and a lot of videos have been going up this week. I think we're up to like 6 videos so far of Nier Automata in the last 2 days, and I know that can get a little bit heavy. So I figure I want to think about maybe trying to break things up. Maybe doing like one night of Nier, and then maybe do something else the next night, just so that people aren't getting hit by like 3, 4 videos of the same game a day. What do you think about that one, James?
Yeah, no, that sounds a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah. And for those of you watching this, I want to open up the idea of having a Twitter poll for posting or for what games you would like me to stream each night. So we'll maybe like every other night I'll put up like a Twitter vote during the day, and we'll see what game wins and stuff along those lines. It'll be a way of kind of adding more random content, and again, it's to help keep people from getting bored out of their minds. Because I asked the other day if people want to see everything to do with Nier or just the main content. So I've been trying to split the videos up that way to make it easier. Because I know there are people who want to watch, raw, unfiltered. If I play for 3 hours, they want to see 3 hours. But then there are people who just want to see the big stuff. And I think I'm more along those lines. What do you think, James? Like, do you prefer?
No, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I do the same thing. Even with the shows that I do love, I will usually fast forward through the parts that are boring me and just get to the good stuff. It's how I've managed to watch like an hour's worth of TV in like 20 minutes. Just like fast forward through most of it. MSN King, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how magnets work. Do you know how magnets work, James?
Sorry, say that again.
How magnets work?
How magnets work?
Yeah, that was a question in chat.
They work by a combination of the polarity of the electrons versus the neutrons. Or are you talking about magnets as in? Is that a?
Oh, it's a
nickname
meme.
or something?
We're getting hit by another meme. Hopefully.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm like, how do magnets work? Yeah, it's a combination of polarity between.
Yeah.
I'm thinking scientific and like
we could
throw something else.
We could turn this into a science podcast. We could certainly do that.
Podcast.
But yeah, so I think we'll try doing the polls over the next few days. And like I said, I think we'll probably do either tonight or tomorrow one more big, I guess, Nier push, trying to do as much main content. Then I'll take like a day off and then repeat just like that. Also, in terms of games, I did manage to get a press key for this game, Loot Rascals, which El Gordo was telling me about. So I'm interested in trying that out tonight. And I was just made aware that the next survival horror game from the creator of Alone in the Dark is coming out tomorrow, called Too Dark. And I had no idea it was coming out so soon. I emailed the press company about getting an interview a few weeks ago, and unfortunately they were busy, so I just emailed my content again, or my the guy handling the press for them, to see, one, to make sure that I can get a key for it, and to see if it's possible to get an interview with him. because that would be amazing to get the guy who created Alone in the Dark on for one of
Oh
our
yeah,
casts.
definitely. Yeah, that's definitely cool.
And for those of you who missed the story, I actually met him at GDC 2011. He gave a post-mortem talk on Alone in the Dark. So I had a
Hmm.
chance to shake his hand after the thing. And that was also the same time I met Sid Meier and just made an complete idiot out of myself when I talked to Sid Meier for the first time.
That's awesome.
Oh, good. I met the creator of Civilization. I said, I really love Sim Golf. I bet he loved to hear that.
Sim golf.
Hmm.
Maybe
Oh.
that'll be a new expansion for that'll be a new expansion for Civilization. Sim golf. From the
Mm,
creators of
mm.
Civilization, we have Sim golf.
If they ever make a Sim Golf 2, I will demand a press copy for that one.
Sim golf 2.
Hmm.
That'll be
Let
awesome.
me 1 second here. Let me just switch this over. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. I accidentally left the Twitch chat off, but you can now see what we are talking about. Let me make sure that this is coming in clear. There it is. There we go. So everyone, fortunately, I think the magnet one didn't make it on there, but we already talked about it that way. I can't pronounce that. Civilization Golf Empire, so Gordo said. That could be the next free-to-play mobile game, too.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I would love to talk to him about Alone in the Dark. I think that would be a great cast. For those of you, I guess as a bit of a sneak peek, I also had a cast this week with Yacht Club Games' David D'Angelo. We talked about Shovel Knight and kind of their plans for in the future and talking more about this modern retro trend with games lately. And I'm really sorry you missed that one, James, because it was a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
I'm emailing them about maybe having them on for a live chat closer to the release of Spectre Knight. I keep confusing all the expansions for that game, but I'm willing to see about having them on for either a live chat. I think that would be great for you to meet the guys as well.
Oh, definitely.
And what was one of the more interesting things about that? And I want to actually get your thoughts on this, and for those of you watching this, you'll hear about this in the podcast. We talked about the challenges of branding, and they said they were having trouble with marketing the new Spectre Knight expansion. A lot of people thought it's just more of like a DLC, like a 2 to 3 level thing,
Hmm.
while they're talking about it being more billed as an actual full-on expansion or pseudo sequel to Shovel Knight.
Hmm.
So that's kind of interesting that they're having that trouble with branding. And I guess that's one of those double edged swords when you're putting everything onto a singular brand or a singular title like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you had a chance to play Shovel Knight. I'm pretty sure we talked about that on earlier casts, right?
No, actually, I have not had a chance to play
Ah,
Shovel Knight.
really?
Yeah,
Is it
no.
on? I'm pretty sure it's on PSN at this point. I think it's like on everything right now. Yeah, it
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely on everything. I know that.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting about how far they've really gone with that. And he talked about how in the original idea, or the original concept, was to make this as a full-on franchise.
Hmm.
So they have certainly hit it out of the park. And right now, as El Gordo is saying in chat, the Switch launch has Spectre Knight or the Spectre Knight expansion included in that. Us PC gamers are going to get that in early April, and they're
Hmm.
kind of building or trying to build up the campaign for that when the time comes. But
Hmm.
oh, here's the fun thing. He talked about the analogy they use. And I'm sure you guys will love hearing this. He said that the Spectre Knight expansion is kind of like would be akin to Majora's Mask. How that relates to Ocarina of Time. Same engine
Ooh.
but a completely different game.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of interesting too,
Hmm.
that he used that kind of analogy
Hmm.
because Majora's Mask, even upon its release, its release
Hmm.
and its general talk among the community. Now, personally, it is one of my favorite Zelda games of all time. I have a lot of memories connected to it, and I enjoy I adore the game. Um, but it got a lot of mixed stuff during the time, and even now it's talked about very differently. So it's going to be kind of interesting. I understand what he was using for that analogy, but it's going to be kind of interesting to see how people respond to this this new to the next one, and
Yeah.
the next Shovel Knight.
Yeah, and I heard the same thing too about that kind of controversy with
Mm-hmm.
Shovel Knight one. So I'm just going to raise your sound up just a little bit, make it easier to hear. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like that's one. And we also heard similar things about Wind Waker. I mean, I remember
Yes.
everyone saying how much they were going to hate Wind Waker. You know, why is this so kiddie? No one's going to
Mm-hmm.
play this game,
Yeah.
and everyone loved it. I mean, I bought the Wii U, enhanced edition of it, and that is just beautiful to look at.
Mm-hmm. And
And
El Gordo is right.
mhm,
Breath of the Wild is getting a lot of praise.
mhm,
Like, and it's kind of odd seeing a lot of the praise come from Breath of the Wild,
mhm,
considering the fact of just a lot of new Zelda titles usually get a lot of flack early
mhm,
on for whatever reason. So.
yeah. And Breath of Fire, if I can ever get my hands on a Switch, I would love to play that game because I heard a lot of people are loving the fact that it's open world. And Nintendo is not normally known for like
But
pure open
yeah,
world
yep,
design.
very much so. They're that is something that you would not think you would see out of a Nintendo game. Open world and Nintendo are two words that just generally do not go together.
Yep, definitely. And I agree with you, El Gordo. Gameplay comes first. I mean, I think that's been my mantra for the last 5 years.
Well, I think yeah, that's the mantra of a lot of us who
Mhm,
are in the industry.
yeah,
But you'd be surprised how many gamers out there
mhm,
will not touch a game if it doesn't look good,
mhm,
despite not whether the game could be phenomenal. I know a lot of people out there that didn't touch Killer 7 just because of the way it looked. It kind of turned a lot of people off,
mhm.
which is kind of sad because Killer 7 was a really phenomenal game.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would love to stream or do like a let's play on that one, because
Hmm.
that's one of those games I like to play like every few years or so, just because of how weird it is and how it's
Yeah.
unique. But yeah, that's a really interesting point, James. And I think it's becoming more and more important these days with how you market your game, and again the branding that goes behind it. And that
Hmm.
kind of goes back to what Shovel Knight is. If you look at these screenshots for Shovel Knight, the Plague Knight expansion, and then Spectre Knight, it does look like the same exact game. So
Hmm.
how do you tell people that these are essentially three different games? They just all happen to share the same engine.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the. I'm sure if David's watching this right now, I bet he would like the answer to that one as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be a tricky part in marketing per se. But I think it can be done. Like
Hmm.
I think it's one of those. If you have a good name to your development team, and you have a good name of your brand, I think people are going to be more willing to accept. Are going to be more willing to accept its differences and its changes, whether those changes or differences be cosmetic or physical or or whatever. I
Hmm.
do think you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be down for it. So.
Hmm. Yep, and we did a critical thought about branding a few weeks ago, and it has become a double-edged sword for a lot of indie developers. As we've said, you're always one massive faux pas away from completely destroying your fan base, but at the
Hmm.
same time, if you have the support of your fans, that can do wonders for
Oh
getting your game
yeah.
out
Oh
there.
yeah.
And the transparency in the indie market has been phenomenal. I mean,
Hmm.
look at all the indie developers we've had on either on these casts or these live streams or the casts. And I mean, again, we would not have this opportunity 10, 15 years ago. It
Yeah,
just.
oh, very much so.
Hmm.
A lot of a lot of 10, 15 years ago, especially like I was talking with Sandy Peterson,
Hmm.
it was a combination. Well, it's kind of interesting. Now, you say that we wouldn't have had this. I think quantity wise, we would not have had this 10 or 15 years ago. You
Hmm.
didn't see everybody out there making games and
Hmm.
flooding the market. But you did see
Hmm.
these little indie groups.
Yeah.
I mean, Sandy Peterson even said like he was part of this ragtag team. They're like, hey, let's make a game where you shoot people and see what we can come up with. And years later, it becomes it is one of the leading games in the industry. You know what I mean? You can't deny that kind of efficiency. But at the same time, it's one of those, like, I do believe that nowadays it is so much easier to get into gaming, that's why you see a lot more people doing it. You know what I mean?
Yep. And again, that ease has been a major part of how decentralized the video game industry is, going back to yesterday's critical thought. I mean, there are developers literally all around the world now. And if we were just focused on United States or Japan, that wouldn't have been the case. I was speaking to a fan of the site, and hopefully I'll have him on for the guest critical thought, Josh Mole, about this the other day. And I mean, it's great that it is decentralized like that, but of course the problem, though, is that it comes back to how do you enact industry-wide policies when there is no industry leadership? And unfortunately, that's not going to be an easy answer right there.
No, not at all. Definitely not at all.
I'll go over something about Nuclear Throne having development during the streams. I know there's another streamer slash designer. I think Gewald mentioned him. Dino, I have him on my Twitter. I think he streams while he designs his games as well. Let me see, what's his name? Dino Dini. I've been trying to get him on for something, and we keep missing each other. So if anyone is friends with Dino, bug him for me, and we see if we can set something up. But yeah, like that kind of transparency. Again, like we would never see a developer sit on like a Twitch stream and design his game in front of an audience. It's always been like we've talked about this on the cast. I think when we were speaking with Trayvon when he first came on, that game design is still considered this mystic art for a lot of people. Like very few people outside the industry know just what it takes to make a video game. And
Very true.
And you still have like people saying just add multiplayer. It will only take a week to add multiplayer functionality. And people who don't understand like how game bugs work, or even just the work that goes into finding them to begin with. And I'm sure like any developers watching this can certainly attest to the fact that it's not simple to find a bug in a game like Duskers, or heaven forbid, like trying to find something wrong in like Crusader Kings or Stellaris, with how massive those games are.
Yeah.
Let me see. So let's talk a little bit about, I guess, some of the games we've played. Oh, first off, did you hear the news, James, about The Division?
No. What news is that?
They've announced that they have year 2 in terms of DLC coming for The Division, and that year 2 they're saying will be all free content.
Oh, really? Now, The Division is done by Activision? Ubisoft. Okay, yep. That is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think I was one of the few people who actually liked that game. I saw a lot of people like put it on their worst games list of 2016, but I kind of joined late with patch 1.04. I think that was the big one.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I'm curious again to see how they're going to take things further. And that's one of the things that we've been seeing. We've been asking that question more and more over the last few weeks or the last few years in terms of how are they going to sustain these games? Oh, they're working on a Destiny 2 as well, Elgorder?
Yes. Yep.
Really?
Well, Destiny 2 is already in production right now, so.
Are they doing any kind of carryover from the first game?
I know they're doing some carryover, but definitely not as much as a lot of the fan. I know there's a lot of fan backlash as the fact that there's not a lot of carryover going on.
Yeah.
There's some people that are a little upset that like a lot of their work is not carrying over. So which means like your last 4 years of Destiny, someone correct me if they know the number, is just gone, like just straight up gone, which is kind of depressing. And it would be depressing for me. You know what I mean? That'd be depressing too if you've invested all this time into an MMO like game, and they're like, oh well, we're coming out with another one, so all your stuff is gone. Like that's depressing.
according to Wikipedia, it was released in 2014. So, yeah, about three. It'll be going
For
on.
3 years,
Yeah,
3 almost 4. Yeah.
yeah. And El Gore was right. Like the 10-year plan is already gone. Like they're all, and
Yeah.
that's one of the big things. It's you have to be really careful when you embrace the MMO or the games as a service development cycle. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, if you're going to work on this game for 4 or 5 years, or Destiny's case 10 years, you better have a solid game plan to do that.
Very much
And
so.
that I think for us, James and myself, we're going to probably have similar questions when Payday 3 gets more details, because I know Overkill is working on that. I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong with this one, but I think this is the last promised year for Payday 2 post release support. I
I
know
wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
they extended it in 2016, but I think from what I heard last, 2017 is going to be it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm just wondering, all that damn DLC I have for Payday 2, what's going to come of it when we get to Payday 3? And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's right, Elgore. They definitely failed with games as a service, and I mean, how? I guess the big question is who's going to want to trust them again with a Destiny 2? Who's to
Mm-hmm.
say that Destiny 2 will get 2, 3 years and then they'll pull the plug on that?
Yeah, El Goro said that the Destiny is on the same kind of competition with Warframe, which I definitely would agree with. And wow, like I feel really bad that I haven't spent any time in Destiny. And like I've
Mm-hmm.
seen and watched videos and talked to people who have played,
Mm-hmm.
but like I haven't spent as much time in Destiny as I would have liked to.
Mm-hmm.
But like I do feel like what's happened is they have these little neat, like Destiny's kind of fallen into a niche base. Like I feel like that's happening a
Mm-hmm.
lot more with these games, like the Division,
Mm-hmm.
Tom Clancy's the Division,
Wildlands? Oh.
No, the other Tom Clancy game.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Siege?
Siege, Tom Clancy's Siege, and Destiny have kind of gone these, oh man, really, really big release
Mm-hmm.
and trickle down to niche audience. We
Mm-hmm.
have we have a bunch of guys that are still playing this. I guess we got to do some stuff for them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really sad when a game goes that route, because it's almost like they're saying, we made this game, we poured a lot of time and money into it, we got as much money out of
Mm-hmm.
it as we think we're going to get. We'll make another one for the way. I feel like they're almost making another one for the whales, which
Yeah.
I'm going to use that term, and I know what the term means, and I'm using it really, really, really deliberately,
Mm-hmm.
because the people that are keeping this game going, whether it is financially or just time wise,
Mm-hmm.
they're keeping the game alive. Because I'm sorry, I past the Taken King expansion,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're seeing a lot of new people onto Destiny.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
just held up my copy of Evolve
Oh, come
that I
on.
never even got a chance to
Oh,
open up there. And
oh, come on. Now you're making me sad,
uh,
Josh. I loved Evolve. It was such
mhm,
an amazing game. Like it did not do well. I'll
yeah,
admit, yeah. Uh,
yeah,
Warframe's updates with engines and the better graphics mechanics
mhm,
and things, instead of planning
yeah.
WF2. What's W? I'm sorry.
Warframe 2, I assume.
Warframe. Yeah, exactly. And that, I think honestly, that's
Mm-hmm.
why they're not alienating their fan base. They're trickling in new people.
Mm-hmm.
They do keep working on ways to get new people into Warframe. And I will admit, I'll be the first one to admit, Warframe is hard to get into as a new player.
Yeah.
It is one of its biggest faults is that you need people that know the game helping you and teaching you certain mechanics and stuff to help. And keep in mind, I've gone on record as being a
Mm-hmm.
Warframe Warframe pro Warframe person, announcer.
Mm-hmm.
But
Uh,
yes, yeah, we'll admit that.
yeah, and that kind of idea about upgrading the engine and trying to keep the base game going. I think is the smarter idea, especially again when you're going for this games as a service. Team Fortress was another big example of this. I know that Valve has made numerous additions and upgrades to the Team Fortress engine over where are we at? Like about 10 years now, I think, of Team
Oh gosh,
Fortress.
yeah. Team Fortress has been out for a while.
And that's the thing. Like, imagine if Valve said, we're going to make a Team Fortress 3. People
Mm.
would be, rioting in front of Valve if they
Well,
ever.
no, okay. Do you think they'd be rioting in a bad way, like
Hmm.
angry, like?
I would say the people who have been invested, the ones who have spent a lot of money on the game. But of course, I'm sure if they ever do announce a Team Fortress 3 or whatever, Valve probably has a plan to make that transition easy. I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
Valve,
definitely.
when it
Yeah.
comes to that kind of stuff, they can be very smart about it. Like they did when they made Team Fortress free to play, when they added in the Polycount pack, when they added in the Manco store. They've really managed to avoid a lot of like those potential mines that other developers have stepped on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, keep in mind, you're also dealing with like video games have had to deal with that kind of stuff a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a new, we have to make a secondary of something. We're
Mm-hmm.
making the second part of this, the second game, and
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with that. So, I
Mm-hmm.
honestly think that by now a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
developers are like, okay, some people are going to get a little butt hurt. That's
Mm-hmm.
comes with the territory. That's kind of how things are. But at the same time, like, look at the Diablo fans, the Diablo fan base. Like,
Mm-hmm.
2 didn't carry over to 3. None of your data from 2 carried over to 3,
Mm-hmm.
and you're pumping in over 100 hours into Diablo 2
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of the hardcore audience out there, easily pumping in over 100 hours, without even thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So, I honestly would say when it comes to stuff like that, um, I believe that developers have a plan to help deal with audience members and their fan base, or sorry, not audience members, their fan base, as opposed to, but now here's a question, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this generations of gamers are putting up with are less are less understanding when a game has to do that, when a game says, hey, you got to start all over again from the beginning, than that maybe previous generations have been?
Hmm. When you say starting over from the beginning, do you mean like
I mean,
a
like,
sequel?
yeah, like a sequel saying, hey, this is the second version of it.
Uh-huh.
All your progress from the first version is
Hmm.
gone.
Hmm. It depends. Oh, as a bit of a emergent or a special announcement, I just got approved for the Two Dark games, so I will
Oh,
be
right.
definitely checking that out. I don't know if I'll do it stream wise, so that will certainly be a video. But getting back to your question about if fans are understanding when a game gets rebooted or when we have to move to a sequel kind of thing,
Well,
is that?
more importantly, do you think that this era of gamers
Mm-hmm.
is less understanding than maybe gamers past? Where
Mm-hmm.
like gamers past, where you played a game, you got what you got out of the game, and then you kind of, when they said they're making a second one,
Mm-hmm.
it was more like, oh, awesome, they're making a second one of these, as opposed
Uh,
to,
I
you know what I mean, as
think.
as opposed to, oh
eh,
crap, all my progress is
Yeah,
gone. You know what
and
I
I
mean?
think El Gordo has a good point about that, and that kind of will lead into my answer. That when, like, as you said, James, with the jump from Diablo 2 to Diablo 3, this kind of games as a service model didn't even exist back then.
Yeah.
And in today's world, like, it's not just about adding new content. Like, again, when if I play Super Mario Galaxy 1 and then I hear Super Mario Galaxy 2 is coming out, I know that's more content. That's not stuff that was going to be in the first game. And
Yeah.
likewise, it's a fixed purchase. But when we're talking about games as a service, developers are basically saying, I want you to spend $50 on this game, and then I want you to spend $5, $10 increments on DLC, additional content, stuff like that, and we'll keep supporting this game. So when
Mm.
a sequel to a games as a service title gets announced, then a lot of that stuff goes away. And I think we had that discussion on an earlier Game Wisdom Live about should you expect, like, if your game has 15 DLCs worth of content in version 1, and then you make a sequel to that, should those 15 pieces of DLC be standard in the sequel? And it's a tough call about that, because again, the sequel should be its own thing. But when we're talking about games where you're asking people to spend, it's not just a $50 purchase anymore. It can be $100, $200.
Easily.
What does that investment mean to someone? And again, if you screw with someone, you only get one chance.
Yeah.
Like what we're seeing with Overwatch, for instance, they have been pretty consistent with new content. And again, they were upfront by the fact that you give us $60, all this stuff is free.
Yep.
So there is no, people can spend more money. I mean, we've certainly seen people buy those loot boxes and stuff like that. But it's not like Blizzard is saying, give us $3 here for a new character, or $5 here for a new map, or if you want to play this new game mode, it's another $15, stuff like that. So if the time comes that Blizzard says, hey, guess what, we're making an Overwatch 2, and we're going to do all this stuff new, there's no economic baggage associated with it, other than, of course, the $50, $60 investment. But by that point, I'm pretty sure we will have all gotten our money's worth. I mean, hell, with Team Fortress 2, I certainly got my $30 worth of it long before it went free to play. And I'm sure, if Ken was on, I mean, he's probably... if he's still playing, he must be over 2,000 hours in Team Fortress 2 at this point.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let me see. COD players don't seem to mind. Yeah, and that's kind of interesting about that, about Call of Duty, and the fact that they do have those life cycles.
But that's different. Call of Duty rankings, Call of Duty, the mastery rankings and stuff like that. That's just... That's more just hey, I put a lot of time in, got to the highest level, and it's funny because if you talk to a lot of the Call of Duty fans, when their game that they are playing is live and active, it's all about the ranking. I am I'm ranked 6 with 100 and how many hours in and a KD ratio of whatever. But the second the new game comes out, you don't hear a lot of people going, oh my god, I was ranked this and I was ranked that. Nope. The second the new game comes out, they are drilling that next ranking. They want to get as high as they got in the last game immediately when the next game comes out. So,
and, what Elgor was saying with friends, that's also the big deal. If you play Call of Duty with your 4 friends, and then the new game comes out and 3 of your friends gets it, of course you're going to buy it as well because you want to keep playing with them.
Yep,
oh, hi, Yama. Thanks for joining us. And, I mean, we can see the same thing with any kind of migration of those massive games. And talking another thing about that kind of baggage or that buildup, World of Warcraft is another example of this. I mean, at this point, Blizzard could have designed a World of Warcraft 2 or 3, given the amount of time and all that foundation, but they've kept with that original version, again, not to split up this fan base.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense that they would people are going to keep playing World of Warcraft. They don't need to come out with a 2 or a 3. You know what I mean? Technically, if you think about it, their expansions are that 2 and 3. You know what I mean? Cataclysm changed everything. If you missed Cataclysm and you've been playing since Vanilla WoW, if you go back now, you're going to be like, what is going on? I have no idea what I'm looking at right now. This is not WoW. Which very much in that case would be WoW 2 for you. You know what I mean? It would be a different WoW than what you remember. It would be a completely different experience, completely different game. So, I think in their own way, they kind of have done that, but they did it so seemingly that it wasn't really that big of a deal to their player base.
And that's the other risk about games as a service. What happens when your game dramatically changes from what you were used to? Like we talked about with Payday 2, the whole controversial safe system. That was almost like a game ender for Overkill and Payday 2. And El Gordo, mobile WoW. My God, they ever put WoW on the iOS and on smartphones, I think civilization would end as we know it. People would never have to stop playing WoW.
You can now, just now, you never have to log off of WoW.
World of Warcraft, Pokemon Go.
Oh
Have
God,
Pokemon Go
yeah.
integration into World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft Go. Oh my God, that's
Well,
amazing.
that ends civilization right there. That would do it.
Hmm.
Question from Chad. Yama was asking, what is your all-time favorite game? Oh my goodness. I've played so many games. I'm not gonna ever narrow down to just one. I probably have like a top five. Few of them would probably be like Star Control 2. I think Mario Galaxy may be in there. I just love that game. Resident Evil 4, XCOM, just either the original or even like the Firaxis ones just came so close. What about you, James? Do you have a favorite game?
All-time favorite game. It would be a toss-up between the Monster Hunter series. Just because I've had so much fun with my friends
Mm-hmm.
playing those games, so many epic moments. The music from the Monster Hunter series is just amazing, especially at the high part. At the high points, it's ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
And the not so high parts, like the everyday moving around the world,
Mm-hmm.
is just beautifully crafted music
Mm-hmm.
where you can just fall asleep to. And Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh.
I've spent so many hours playing that game.
Mm.
If you love restarting a game, then like it's one of the I hate restarting video games. I hate having to go from beginning. I'm one of those people
Mm-hmm.
that'll fight to keep my save data. So if
Mm-hmm.
I have to restart a game, it's usually going to make me very angry.
Mm-hmm.
I love restarting Tactics. I love the progression system. I love the way. I love the character. I love the story.
Mm-hmm.
I love like it's a chess-based game where you get to customize the chess pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So like those definitely would be
Mm-hmm.
top favorites. If I had to pick two and those two could duke it out in a ring, I think they'd be fighting in my eyes. They'd be fighting for a very, very long time because
Yeah.
Tactics has everything I love about that genre and added on to the storytelling of an RPG. A Tactics for everybody that loves the Disgaea series.
Mm-hmm.
It's Disgaea with a apocalyptian level storytelling, and not necessarily as far as what's going on, but we're talking Final Fantasy level storytelling, but gameplay wise Disgaea.
Mm-hmm.
Like so things are more meaningful. The only thing I really didn't like about the Disgaea is you can do a lot more in Disgaea, but how much does it really mean to you?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really, oh, cool, I got all this stuff.
You can play for like 500-600 hours, but
It's
why?
what does it really mean? What does it really mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to Final Fantasy Tactics, where you're loving like the storyline drives why you're building up these characters. And when they made War of the Lions and put it on the PSP and made it so that you and a friend could connect together and do and get gear that transferred over to your regular game, it was ecstatic. So the combination between that and Monster Hunter, which if I had to really be honest, I'd probably say Tactics would win, but it'd be a knockdown, drag out, Rocky versus Apollo Creed
moment
fight.
there.
Yeah.
Elgor was talking about the Oddworld series. I love those as well. I've been trying to talk to Oddworld for years now. They've just never. Every time I say, "Would you like to come on?" I say, "Sure." I say, "Okay, let me know when." They never get back to me, and I have to keep trying because I want to talk to them so much about Oddworld. With Final Fantasy Tactics, you're going to hate me for this, but I have not sat down to really play that game.
Oh my
I
gosh,
have the PSP version of it, but I've just never had a chance to sit down and play it.
Play it. It is. And even if you just do a nice, easy run through, and by easy, this is an older game we're talking about, so easy for that time period is like, a good 40 hours, 40 hours in. It's shorter than Disgaea, but not by much. Which is, if anybody knows the Disgaea series, that's a joke there.
Yeah.
But it is shorter than Disgaea. You can get through Tactics and get to the end. Disgaea, you're grinding for
Yeah.
a long time.
Did
But
you
yeah.
did you
Go
ever
ahead.
play Tactics Ogre for the PSP?
Yes, I have.
I
I
love
played
that one.
Let's Cling Together, and I played an older Tactics Ogre, a
Yeah.
different one, and I can't remember what it was
It
called.
was
And
either
go ahead.
I know they released Ogre Battle for the SNES, Tactics Ogre for the GBA, and I know there was an Ogre Battle for the N64.
I
And
think I played the SNES battle.
yeah, I have that copy of the N64 one. I know that one is super rare. I
Uh,
remember like, I was walking around like Blockbuster. For those of you who remember Blockbuster, I saw in their used game show. I was like, huh? And I had
all
to run
right.
and grab it. Incidentally, I have another rare game in my collection. Did you ever? Do you know the series Clay Fighter, James?
I've heard of it and I've seen it, but I've never actually got a chance to play it.
Clay Fighter is this like wacky fighting game made by Interplay. Every character is made out of clay, so it's
Yeah,
all
yeah, I've
clay
seen it.
animation. So they
Hmm.
had a limited edition Blockbuster version that you could only rent that had like additional characters and stuff to it. And then
Hmm.
one day my Blockbuster had it on sale, and I rushed to buy that, and I have it somewhere. It is somewhere in this house that I know that it's very limited because again they weren't selling it in stores. Yeah, I enjoy Clayfire. Again, it's like wacky game. Oh, the special version had like Earthworm Jim had a hilarious opening intro. What was it? This is another thing you can YouTube as well. The intro for the game. I know
Hmm.
the N64 version was called 63 and a third or 63 and a half or something like that. And then there was
Hmm.
a special edition on top of that, and they added in like this funky intro theme that was good. And
Hmm.
I, and again, I'm surprised no one's tried to do like a Kickstarter for that one. As a fun fact, the original SNES version features a character that was modeled after Elvis, Blue Suede Goo, who was,
Oh
I
yeah.
think, removed from later versions due to, obviously, copyright infringement. Sort of
Hmm.
like similar to what they did with Plants vs. Zombies, but they had a character who looked like Michael Jackson's Thriller, the zombie who danced around. They
Hmm.
changed that after his passing. But
Hmm.
yeah, the Clayfire series was really good like that. They made like I was really a big fan like that clay animation back in the day when I was younger. Like I
Hmm.
saw Skull Monkeys. Um, oh my goodness, I'm failing this. Um, there was a game for the SNES. It was clay animation. It was a 2D platformer, and you play like this hand, like it's like a blue hand that's like go around solve puzzles, and I cannot remember the name of it.
A blue hand?
Yeah, like you get turned into like a clay creature, and
Hmm.
it's like that. Yeah, Melgor was asking me about ukulele. Yeah, I would definitely love to play that one. It's already coming out soon. Wow. Again, oh, by the way, James, when I talked with Dave D'Angelo, he also mentioned that time has lost all meaning for him as well.
Uh,
Like I said, like I've lost all semblance of time. Like I said, when I started Shovel Knight like 40 years ago, and again, it must feel like that.
hmm.
There was a claymation style Metal Slug. Why does that sound familiar? I know they just did a Kickstarter for a Skull Monk. No, not a Skull Monkeys reboot, but a game like a spiritual sequel. Oh man, it was a
Hmm.
Kickstarter. I cannot remember the name of it, and they had like like the super high end rewards. One of them was to come to the studio and learn how to do claymation. Oh my goodness,
Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
I would have loved to have done that if I ever had the money for that. What was the
Hmm.
name of that game? Oh man, hmm, cannot remember it. Yeah, but what were we talking about again? I think we were on the subject of games as a service or something along
Hmm.
those
Yeah.
lines. Yeah, but I guess getting back to the topic, or one of the many topics, like with games as a service, like again, like we're talking about the division with year two. I do like how it is going to be free. I think it is a smart move on their part after the very rocky start. I have
Hmm.
heard people saying good things about Rainbow Six Siege. Like it's not like
Yeah,
lighting up the
yeah.
sales charts, but so far everyone who I've heard played it has enjoyed it. Like
Well, it's
it
also entered the competitive scene pretty
really.
hard too. Like, there's a lot of tournaments that I've heard that have been running around, been running with the Rainbow Six Siege crowd, and like the tournaments are pretty intense. Like, now, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to get to like League of Legends level, but
Hmm.
I think they might definitely like get up there to the point where they can
Hmm.
be a pretty decent contender. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited about that. I remember I when I first saw Rainbow Six Siege,
Hmm.
it looked really cool. Like, I thought it would look
Hmm.
really interesting. I knew it was a game that I would completely be horrible at and suck at, but I definitely it definitely was one of those things of, oh wow, this looks really fun.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, no, I definitely think that Rainbow Six Siege
Hmm.
um is going to be around for a while. I think it's going to stick around for a while. So
Yeah. And I know I made my post about For Honor, thing about like how well it could be in the competitive scene. I know a lot of
yeah,
people have been unhappy with that, with the progression system and stuff like that.
yeah.
And of course, saying that maybe they're trying to do something similar, that maybe For Honor will have kind of like that redemption play in year two. It's going to be, like I said, I really am hoping For Honor, sticks with it, because I would like to play a slower paced fighting game like that. Like again,
Yeah.
I don't. I am horrible when it comes to like the Street Fighter, combo focus, trying to remember special moves kind of thing. But like that slower pace, like that slower feel of For Honor, was starting to work for me. But
Yeah.
again, with that progression model, it's going to be a very hard sell unless they, completely regut it. And speaking of which, that actually brings up a kind of related tangent. I was reading some news about World of Tanks, and
Hmm.
I heard that they're planning on restructuring World of Tanks soon. Let me see if I can pull this up now. While I'm pulling this up, James, did you ever play World of Tanks?
I have not yet. No, I have some friends that do play it, but no, I've never actually gotten a chance to.
Mm. I played a little bit of it, like, oh man, 3 maybe 4 years ago. Oh wait, actually, yeah, that's right. I'm trying to read the Polygon article on it, and like with World of Tanks, it had a very interesting idea, but it was very pay to win focus, or pay for advantage focus.
Oh,
This
really?
was a game where you could win the battle, but the amount of resource that it costs you could put you
Mm,
back, because even if you won the match, you stayed alive. If you
yeah.
took too much damage, and then as you get higher up in the tiers, your tanks cost more to repair.
Oh,
So
wow.
it got to a point where I could earn 1,700 credits for winning the match, but lost 2,500 credits for all the damage and all the ammo that I spent to play that match.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
And
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know what where why somebody would how that would get past testing where someone was like, "Oh yeah, this is a really good idea." Like, I don't, to me that just doesn't seem like a good idea to do something like that. Like, one of the most frustrating things back during my WoW addictions
mm-hmm,
was the fact that like in after you if you did a dungeon
mm-hmm,
and you lost the dungeon, all the damage from a dungeon was still on your character and you had to repair it. So if you kept getting groups, like
mm-hmm,
random groups with you, your gear kept getting destroyed, which meant you had to keep repairing it, which means,
mm-hmm.
what I mean, like,
You're
which cost
being
you money,
it's
like
basically 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
3 steps back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, that drove me nuts when I played Let It Die, for instance, and how when
Yeah.
your character dies, you have to get another character level to have any chance of getting them
Uh-huh.
back. But then if that
Yeah.
character dies, then you gotta do it again.
And
And
you're
again,
looking at yourself going, well, what's the progression here? What am I gaining from playing this game?
hmm
You know what I
it
mean?
becomes stalled basically.
Yeah. Yeah, like at least in Dark Souls, where it's like a Dark Soul, like a lot of people are like, oh, well, Dark Souls does that too.
Mm-hmm.
No, what Dark Souls does is I fight an enemy, I learn how that enemy fights, even if the enemy kills me,
Mm-hmm.
and I get a little bit further. I
Mm-hmm.
kill that enemy, I go a little bit further into the map, I
Mm-hmm.
die. I
Yeah.
start back again. I go a little bit further. I die. I start back again. I go a little bit further. You know what I mean? That's Dark Souls. Dark Souls is all about progression and progression and learning and understanding through death,
Yep, and
as
even
opposed. Yeah.
yep, and
Good.
even then, like in a Soulsborne title, even when you die, you're not, put into a bad position. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we could argue in Bloodborne with the vials and the bullets that there is some grinding there, but
Yeah, there's a little bit of grinding, but
yeah,
it's not. I mean, compared to if anybody's played any grinding game
yeah,
ever, and then they play Soulsborne, they're like, "Oh, this is not grinding.
yeah,
This is just." Yeah, no, I
yeah.
got it.
Yeah, but even then, you're never losing progress, or progress is never stalled in
Yeah.
those games. Like as you just said, James, like in Demon Souls, you get stuck at a fight. You're going to learn that fight's going to make you better, and you're
Uh-huh.
still building up souls while you're
Yep.
fighting those things.
Yep.
So when you get past it, you're going to still have a lot of souls you can use to spend,
Hmm.
and it is about just getting better at that game. And even when you get to a boss fight, there's usually enough shortcuts to make it easier to get back to it. And it's not like I'm losing. If I die at a boss, it's not like I lost the last 3 hours of play.
Yeah.
It may take me 2 minutes to get back to that fight.
Yep.
Yes, I mean, 2 minutes sucks, but again, it's rapid. I'm
Hmm.
not wasting my time. Like, for instance, with Near Automata, and El Gordo can probably attest to this when he watched me play the first night of it. On hard mode, the first mission, every time you start that mission, you're forced into a 6 minute shmup section. So
Oh
what
wow.
happened was, I get to the boss, I die. I have to repeat those first 6 minutes again before I even get back to the stage. Get back to the boss, he kills me. There's another 6 minutes and another 6 minutes, and then finally I just said, "Screw it! Let me lower this down to normal before I throw something at the wall." But
Yeah.
that was a case where basically progression was stalled and I was losing time.
Yeah.
And you have to be really careful with how you handle that, or the player is just going to get frustrated. And as you said, James, that is kind of that's like the magic difference between something like Dark Souls versus something like Let It Die or other grind heavy titles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let me see. We are approaching 9:4. I know you said you had to get going around 10,
Hmm.
so we'll probably go for like another 10 minutes, I think, and then we'll start to wrap things up.
Hmm.
I think we kind of had our big topic already, talking more about games as a service.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess for me, I guess just so quickly, like I said, the games I've been playing this week besides Near Automata would be Gwent. I would like to do more
Oh, how
streams of
is
that.
that? How is Gwen?
I'm liking it.
Hmm?
It just feels different compared to the other CCGs.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of CCG. So like right now I'm still playing Hearthstone, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm currently playing Pokemon trading card game as we're doing the
Yeah.
cast. So yeah, yeah,
Oh,
I definitely I'll have to try Gwent. You
yeah.
said is it in beta right now, or is it
Yeah.
actually out?
It's in beta, and you can sign
Mm,
up for it on their website
mm,
to try and get a beta key. And
mm.
that reminds me, I heard that the Elder Scrolls Online CCG is
Yeah.
coming out soon. If it's not out already, I think it's going to be out this month.
Oh, did you hear that the Smite team is actually going to be doing a
No.
Clash Royale style gameplay
Mm.
and a kind of a tactical turn-based kind of game too, as well? Yeah.
Interesting. And they're really trying to branch out there. And
Kind of like a Smite Tactics. So,
mm, And whenever you get a chance to play Gwent, James, I would love to talk to you about that because I think
oh
that
yeah,
is going to be
definitely.
very interesting. Hear what you, because again, like for me, I'm not. I like CCGs, but I don't like the traditional model like we see in Hearthstone. But I'm liking Gwent. So for
Oh
you,
yeah.
for someone who enjoys a lot of the traditional CCGs and
Uh-huh.
how much Gwent kind of eschews that traditional design. I
Yeah.
really want to hear what you think about it when the time comes.
Yeah, definitely. I unfortunately I haven't got a chance to play what's it called?
Hmm.
The Witcher. I haven't got a chance to play The Witcher 3, which to my detriment,
Yeah.
I really wanted to play that, but
Yeah, me neither. Maybe someday if we ever have the time for all that.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Elgorder is asking about playing Loot Rascals. Yeah, maybe I'll try that tonight. I'm sure I'm gonna suck at, but yeah, I need to play more of. I figure maybe like one more good day of Nier, and then maybe take a break like for like a day or two. I also will make a beginner's guide to Oxygen Not Included, because I think that would do really well, and it's kind of interesting to talk about the game at that level. I can't do like an advanced guide because they're going to add more systems over like the next few weeks, but I think like a new guide would be a good thing, and people seem to really like the guides I've been putting out on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get to that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up or if I forgot. Uh, hmm. Have you been playing anything else, James, this week?
Uh No, I got back into Overwatch competitive a little bit more, and surprising enough, the community there is actually pretty accepting, which I was kind of surprised at, but very thankful for. It was I've been actually quite enjoying the competitive scene. Like I really thought people were going to take it a lot more seriously, and like
Hmm.
which kind of was a little bit disheartening to me. But no, there's a lot more.
Hmm.
They're a lot more relaxed than I thought. So.
Really? That's
Mhm.
interesting to hear. And did you play with the new character yet?
Oh, she's not out yet. She's only on the PTR server right
Uh,
now.
okay. Yeah, I've been hearing like again. I've been wanting to get back into that, but I've just never been a big competitive guy, so I don't know how well I will survive in that one.
Uh-huh.
But we'll see. Yeah, so like with Gwen, I'm gonna try to do more with that. I also, since I got the key for Too Dark, I really want to give that a test too. And maybe we'll see. Maybe that'll be tonight. Tomorrow
Uh-huh.
I'll do Near, and then maybe Saturday night if I'm still stable, I'll play Too Dark. If the
Uh-huh.
presentation didn't knock me out.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. I think with that we could probably wrap things up. Do you have anything you want to add before we say goodnight for this
Nah,
week?
no, I don't think so. But thank you, El Gordo Freeman, and who's the new person there? I kind of missed the
Yama, I think.
Yama. Yeah, thank you guys for jumping on. So.
Hmm. All right. Well, we're going to end this week's edition of Game Wisdom Live here. Again, for those of you watching this live or recorded, let me know what you think about the Patreon reward and about the polls. For tonight, I think I'll see about flipping a coin between either Too Dark or Loot Rascals. We'll see what comes up. And or we can maybe do a little bit of both, depending upon how big those games are. Like I said, if you're going to be in the South Jersey area this Saturday, March 11th, be sure to say hi at the Cherry Hill Library. I'll be hopefully not slurring my speech or crawled in a field position on stage there. We'll see what happens. And yeah, once again, thank you so much for watching. If you're brand new, be sure to like and subscribe and all that great stuff. And like I said, if you would like to get in on some of the fun with this stuff, we have the Discord server, and of course, we have the Patreon rewards for guest appearances on our discussions. So, with that said, we're going to end things here. For those of you watching this live, give me about 10 or so minutes. Yep, El Gore's suggestion: vodka in my drinking water to help relax. We'll see how that. But like I said, give me like 10, 15 minutes to get ready, and we'll either do some Loot Rascals or Too Dark. I actually need to check to make sure it's not under NDA, because that would kind of answer that question.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
James, as always, thank you so much for coming on, and hopefully we can get. I emailed Sandy Pearson and see if we can have him on for a live chat. So
Oh,
like,
that'd be amazing. That'd be awesome.
and so hopefully we can get him back on and maybe have some more guests for next week. But like I said, we'll see you all then. And James, hopefully we'll either have another cast in between then. If not, we will certainly be talking again Thursday night.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So with that said, once again, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check back daily for great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Until next week, have a great night.